Zambia is limited. Arise and shine. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. Yes, we are back again on Lumen Morning Diary. My name is Alice Lungo alongside Mr. Kenneth Masfuta and Jenara Piri. Good morning.
Good morning, Alice. Good morning, Mr. Mufuta.
Morning. How has it been?
We've had a heavy downfall of rains.
Yeah.
Actually, we've enjoyed that weather. We've been crying for rains over and over here on Sate. So I'm glad we finally received heavy downfall.
I must say, I really love the weather today. We've been, like you've said, General, we've been praying and praying for the rains to come. And we really thank God that today we've actually experienced that.
Yeah, I just hope, of course, we have a lot of rains. I think it's countrywide. What a good way of beginning 2025.
Yes.
I just hope
it continues like this.
It continues, and we are facing this water because you may have floods all over. But
of course.
Good news.
In talking of the rains, we've heard of cases, Yamakolela, of late, and I just pray that people out there should really take precautions, be aware of what is happening. It's high time that we start taking care of ourselves. Anyway, today's topic is the impact of Zambia's 33 years of being a Christian nation. Such a good topic when we're talking about Christianity. Yes.
We're always bragging and saying Zambia is a Christian nation, but do we even know when it was declared to be a Christian nation?
Yes, it was declared on the 29th. In case those that don't know, Zambia was declared as a Christian nation on the 29th of December 1991. So on the 29th of December, we celebrated 33 years of Zambia being a Christian nation, and it was declared by our former president, late Frederick Chiluba, our second Republican president.
Yeah, definitely. His name cannot be separated from this day, because it's really a big decision that he had to make, to declare Zambia as a Christian nation. And of course, there are issues attached to that day, because some other people say, are we really a Christian nation? And I think that's the biggest question that has kept on resurfacing. And one thing that our viewers also should be enlightened is about this meaning of Christian nation. Because to some people, they think when you say it's a Christian nation, then no any other religion should exist aside in the country. Yeah, I think it's not really in that vein, because I think Zambia is a multicultural religious nation. I think we've seen the Muslims are operating freely.
Yes.
And they are contributing a lot to our country. We have Hindus. Literally, Zambia has allowed all religions to operate in the nation. And for some people, they thought being a Christian nation means you do away with other religions. And when he was declaring, actually, it brought a lot of issues, because the Muslim society rose, and others say, where does he put us? But at the end of the day, General, it's about the major driving force. It's a Christian religion, and these others, we have them, but I'm sure in very small percentages.
And actually, I feel when the former president was declaring this, what he actually meant was he wanted this country to be governed in a righteous way, with Christianity principles.
Yeah, that's true. I would actually second that. Looking at it, that we have the majority that are Christian, that are Christians in Zambia. Maybe he looked at it like that, for him to declare it as a Christian nation, and a nation that recognizes God in every decision that they make. They put God first.
Maybe something interesting from what General mentioned. Yeah, she mentioned something which I think is the backbone of it all. Said he wanted Zambia to be governed using Christian principles. Zeroing in on that, do we think we are in the right path as far as Christian principles are concerned?
I think the viewers will write in and they will call us to tell us, is Zambia really a Christian nation? Are we going according to our former president's declaration?
Yes, viewers, you've heard this question. We want to hear from you. What is your say about the topic that we have today, knowing that we are celebrating 33 years of Zambia being a Christian nation? What is your say? Are we really living that declaration as Christians in Zambia? Are we doing what we're supposed to do as Christian? Yes, today on Lumen Morning Diary, we've got exciting segments lined up for you, such as the health segment, Food for the Soul with Father Arthur. It's always important to start our day with the Word of God, to enrich our souls. Very important, you know.
And, I was looking at the year 33. It's a very soap. I'm not touching somewhere where Father Arthur will come and touch. I think him coming from the religious circles, this year 33 is really a very significant number.
Okay.
Just the number 3 itself, I think you'll find that it has a lot to do when we come to the Christian circles. And this year, of course, we also saw the opening of the Jubilee doors.
Yes.
It started in Rome, at the Vatican. We also had our own within Zambia. We saw many bishops in different dioceses doing that ceremonial work of opening these doors. And it goes without mention that according to the church's calendar, this Jubilee, I remember Father Arthur explained about it some other time I was saying it is done after the whole idea of the church was to do it after 33 years.
Yes. Yeah, then they kept
down to 25.
Yeah, so you see the significance. And here we are as a nation celebrating the 33 years. I think it's not like any other celebration. I feel there is a lot of blessings attached to this year's celebration.
Mr. Mafuta, before we dive into the newspaper pics and what's trending, do you think we've celebrated this declaration as a country? Because I don't think other people even know that we're actually 33 years of being a Christian nation.
Actually, I would say we have not really celebrated it the way
it should be celebrated.
The way you guys celebrated
the way we celebrate Independence
Day, yes, Freedom Day.
Yeah.
The way we celebrate Christmas.
Exactly.
And I think even the National Day of Prayer and Fasting even has more significance than the declaration of Zambia being a Christian nation.
Yeah, I think we haven't really celebrated this to the level that one would say we feel its impact. And I feel would have even been celebrating it maybe even after a decade, 10 years, we would have had that good celebration. In 20 years, it keeps on and on and on. But I feel there has been what I would put in brackets political disagreements. Because why am I saying so? At the end of the day, all these declarations are done by the politicians as at that moment who is in power. And it is also about how concurrent governments agree with each other. Do they really believe in what the other declared? So, but I would say this is a cross-cutting day which doesn't really need to focus on who goes to which political party, because it's about Zambia. It's not about who declared it. It's not about which party declared it at that moment. But I think it has also helped us to uphold the peace that we are enjoying as a nation. I think that declaration always is a reminder when we want to go off track as a nation. But I think a lot has to be done. Yeah, I think we need a serious organization. But I heard it was a point of debate in Parliament, and the Vice President did allude to it, that the government will ensure that there are things put in place when it is about celebrating this day. It has to be done from different provinces up to the major one at national level. So I don't think a lot of Zambians are even aware about it.
Okay, we can go on to talk about this topic. We dive straight into the newspaper pics. Mr. Mafuta, can you help us with the newspaper pic?
Yeah, of course. The must is the paper we have with you in the studios today, and the The major headline says 2025 will be tough. We have seen similar gymnastics under UPND to those of PF regime, Chikoya. So this is there's 2025 will be tough. The gymnastics, popularly known as, there's a good name they've got to it. Is it
Mingalado?
So then another headline says, Kambwili asks for forgiveness from Zambians and God. Kambwili asks for forgiveness. Then inside the paper, I'm sure there should be some interesting stories, ladies. A call for diplomatic engagement in resolving post-election conflict in Mozambique. I'm sure we've heard about what is
happening in Mozambique, yes.
And we also had the call even from the former president, Edgar Lungu, asked for that. Hichilema Lungu Mon Dand Crazy. Hichilema Lungu Mon Dand Crazy. The two presidents have mourned this iconic son of the nation. Of course, we heard about the passing on of. Let's go to something to do with sports. I know you guys, I'm much into sports.
Of course, we do know that you and Genera, that is your favorite segment, which is sports.
Exactly. Maybe before that, we also have issues to do with the economic matters. And I think this touches
Genera.
No, this one, I think it really touches Alice.
Oh yeah, ZRA.
And there is it says ZRA's stellar performance in 2024 is a model of resilience and adaptability. Mungore, those terminologies, I hope Alice understands them. Then we have Africa is a beneficiary of Qatar's works, says Hichilema. Africa is a beneficiary of Qatar's works. To lead a bit into it, Africa is a direct beneficiary of President Jim Carter's work, says President Hichilema, speaking after he signed a book in honor of the late 39th President of the United States of America, Jim Carter. President Hichilema said the man helped deepen democracies in Africa. Little did I know that Carter is late. Jim Carter was a big name as far as US is concerned. Then we have over 10,000 Nangoma residents set to benefit from cash for work. Reviews MP over 10,000 Nangoma.
I remember we actually talked about, we had a discussion, a topic about the cash for work.
Oh yeah,
it's quite a huge number.
Different sentiments. General, maybe you help me with some of the sporting items.
Fast to align Chan preps. Chan Bond Chipolopolo have heightened their preparations with coach Wedson Urenda, trimming his provisional squad to 30. Tiger Woods' son hit first hole in one at PNC Championship. So this one is like a father and son. Yeah. They are all into golf.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
We want badge to Sports Federation that go to court. I think this is what we had in the sports segment of the newspaper pick.
So
a number of interesting stories.
Yes, a number of interesting stories. Yes, we've heard what we have in the newspapers. So we also talk about what we've seen, what we've heard on social media during this past week. I also, Mr. Mafuta, you've read of the sad news of the passing of Dandy Crazy, which was touched almost everyone.
Yeah, true. And I remember when this accident was happening, we were actually live here on
New Year's Eve.
And all he said was, we wished him well. We hoped that he would get
Yes,
better.
we prayed for him. I must say his death is really touching, and just looking at how he's been mourned is, the most important thing that I've come to know, General and Mr. Mafuta, is when one goes, what legacy do you leave behind?
Sure.
It's the legacy that you leave behind that is important. I think he lived a life that really touched many souls. He was always a jovial person, always making people laugh with his comedy. He will truly be missed. May his soul rest in peace. And we also pray for the family to be comforted. May God comfort the family. Indeed, this is a very difficult moment. So you can just imagine that.
Yeah, and actually, he was not the only person that perished in that accident. We actually lost other 4 lives, and 2 of them were buried yesterday.
And actually, one of them a lecturer at Mulungushi University.
Oh yes, sad.
May their souls rest in eternity.
Yes, and we pray for God to also comfort their families. It's really, really a sad situation, beginning the year of 2025 in a very sad note, which is so touching. What other trending stories have we heard?
Yeah, maybe just on the same one. I didn't get any part of the story. I just give you the top notch, which is interesting. Chile Malungu, like the 2 presidents, mourning the son of the soul. Then the story goes on to say President Hakainde Hichilema and his predecessor Edgar Lungu have joined Zambians in mourning celebrated musician Wesley Chibambo, aka Dandy Crazy, who died on Thursday, aged 47. President Hichilema said in a post on his Facebook page that Dandy's music and charisma touched lives far and wide, crossing all boundaries and bringing people together. We extend our deepest condolences to his family and to all Zambians who cherished and supported the extraordinary artist. These were sentiments from the president, and also here the comment also from the former president. And former President Lungu posted a video on his Facebook page yesterday in remembrance of the musician and captioned it, "In fond memory of our music king, my jogging partner and our great artist. Rest in peace, Dandy Crazy."
Yeah, actually they were jogging partners. we saw lots of videos of them.
Yeah.
So I have another trend. Mazabuka man defiles 12-year-old after offering her a jersey for warmth. Police in Southern Province have arrested a man in Mazabuka after he allegedly defiled a 12-year-old girl of Muambwet village during the night of the New Year's celebration.
That's a sad story.
Yes, it's really a sad story. I don't know why of late we've been hearing of such stories of defilement. We heard, is it last week, General, where we heard of a man that raped a 2-year-old and infected her with HIV.
Yeah, it's really sad to see how these young girls are being abused by men.
Mm-hmm.
One wonders, and a lot has been talked about these matters, and the government has tried its best,
Yes.
even in stiffening the nature of punishment.
Yeah, true.
But I think there's really a lot behind this. I think it just goes outside the sexual ego and what. No wonder other people have said there must be some charms others attached to, because some cases you wonder those you find even a family man, very beautiful wife, everything, but you still hear they are into such. Then one wonders, is it really the ego or there's something behind it? I think this is a very difficult thing to understand. Those one just fails to understand.
I have another trend. The police officer forcibly seized cell keys whilst in state of intoxication, releasing over a dozen prisoners so they could celebrate New Year's Eve, Zambia Police Service said.
How do you miss that right
Yes. It's funny.
And you see, all the trains that we have actually occurred the New Year period.
Actually, when I saw it at first, I literally even commented on Facebook to say, stop the drama, such a thing can happen.
You thought it was
it's true.
It sounded more
Funny, a joke.
of all things. How does it happen? Then on news from different stations, then I got to say no, a police officer had to release
13.
He said, go and celebrate.
Then you come back.
What a good gesture.
Excuse me.
What a good gesture done in bad faith.
I've been reading different comments of people saying people are so ungrateful. This is why we shouldn't help people. Someone helps you and then you don't come back.
And I just heard that I was trying to follow the story when people started with comments and everything. Later on, I heard that now the same officer, him has been detained.
Yes, they have actually swapped.
He has taken up, and then that he was appealing to the families because the police service has asked him that all those police should come back. So he was appealed to the families to hand over their relatives because he did it in good faith.
And he's actually saying he doesn't remember what really happened. Okay, before we go for a break, this last one. Police have charged 2 drivers with dangerous driving after they crashed into 8 tombstones at Kansenshi Cemetery in Ndola.
Oh yes, we saw that.
And I saw that they were giving each other a chase.
Yes.
I was trying to relate this story, but I've not followed it well as it was.
Okay, let me briefly explain it to you. Actually, the man with the Ford had hit into the woman with the Mark X. So instead of him stopping and negotiating with the lady, he decided to speed off. So with anger, she also started chasing him. And unfortunately, they had to go into the graveyard.
I thought so. It's like the one who was being chased. He thought the graveyard was a better place to hide, but the chase also failed and still continued. Actually, such things. It reminds me of another sad story. I think we had some years ago, just here in Mumbayanga.
Oh yes, I remember that.
That one was about the husband
and the wife.
Yeah, I remember
They
it.
were
Chasing each other.
Even there, very near to the grave. So I don't know what is attached to chasing.
Anyway, we know we have a lot of trending stories, but now we go on a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
welcome back. We're now diving straight to the food for the soul with Father Arthur as he feeds us with a word of encouragement. Good morning, Father.
Good morning, General.
Good morning, Father.
Good morning. Good morning to our viewers.
Yes, Father, it's very important to be fed early in the morning. Before we eat the food that has to go to the stomach, we need the word of God.
Yes.
What do you have for us today, Father?
Yes, so today I thought we could reflect on this little scripture. Hosea chapter 6 verse 6. I think it goes well with the topic of the day. So Hosea chapter 6 verse 6 says, "For it is love that I desire, not sacrifice. It is knowledge of God, not burnt offerings." I'll repeat, "For it is love that I desire, not sacrifice. It is knowledge of God, not burnt offerings." Yeah. This scripture is basically talking about practical Christianity. Yeah. Practical, not just practical, maybe also we can add genuine, practical and genuine Christianity. God, through the prophet Hosea, is saying, "I do not desire your offerings, your sacrifices." Sacrifices in the sense of the things that we, because those centuries back, they used to burn Holocaust as a sacrifice for the atonement of the sins of the people. But God is saying, "I do not require that. I do not require your offerings. What I require is your knowledge of God. What I require is your love." Because burning sacrifice is one thing, and loving God genuinely through loving other people is also another. And it is very easy for people to separate these. It's like somebody who wears church uniform every day, even sleeps in it. But then what they portray, what they show is different from, or their behavior, their conduct is different from what they're supposed to be doing. Because if you are wearing church uniform, people will see that you are a Christian, that you belong to a church, you belong somewhere, you belong to a Christian community. But then when they begin to see your behavior not going in line with what they believe about you, then it puts a question mark on the type of Christianity that you're practicing. Yeah. So God is not interested in our uniforms. God is not interested in we Catholics wear rosaries. If our life is still very far from God Himself. I desire your love, not your sacrifice. And how do we love God? How do we know God? God created us as a relational beings. He created us to relate with other people, to belong to a society, to belong to a community. And so the way we live our life has to take into account the lives of other people. Like you can't just be going stepping on everybody's toes like you don't care. You have to care because you're not alone in the world. Unless you live alone in the world, then you can walk the way you want to walk. But if you have people around, then you have to mind the way you walk. You have to mind where you step, just in case you step on another person's toes. That is to say, in case you hurt another person. Sometimes, you get to meet people that really don't care about you. They don't really care about what others feel. If they want to say something, they'll just say it as long as it makes them feel good. Like they have this ego, this big ego, which they continually, service without taking into account. But how do you live your Christian life like that? And most of these people, you see them every Sunday at church. They are very committed. They sing in the choir. They read in church. They are ushers.
We call them the holier than thou.
They're moving tabernacles. Those are the kind that think God belongs to them. That they own God. Yeah, like they own the church. They own the. But then the way they live their life is you tend to wonder. So what God is saying through this scripture is, even before you bring your sacrifice, even before you announce to the world that you are a Christian by attending mass every Sunday, or church services every Sunday or Saturday, by wearing uniform, even before you make that announcement, let your heart be converted. Convert yourself. Let your life show that you indeed believe in God, you indeed belong to God. Otherwise, everything else that you do is just for yourself. It doesn't make any sense. It's not important to God at all. God is first interested in our hearts even before we bring the money to church. How converted are we? Are we even converted at all? So I thought this scripture tallies very well with the theme. What is the theme of the day? Remind me again.
The impact of 33 years of Zambia being a Christian nation.
Jesus spent on earth 33 years. 33
years.
Yes.
It's a very significant number.
Exactly. That's what Mr. Mafut actually said earlier on.
It's a very significant number, 33 years. The time Jesus spent on earth. In the past 3 years, what successes have we scored? Yeah. Of course, you know it is constitutional, first of all. The declaration is constitutional. But does that really make you Christian? Like, do you have to declare for you to be a Christian? I'm asking this not to say that it is wrong to have that as a declaration in the Constitution. But it's a question that everybody, I think, should reflect on. That's why we picked that verse. Even before we declare, there should be something about us that should show that you are a Christian. It is okay to declare, to have everything enshrined in the Constitution like that, and that is one thing. But living that, like demonstrating that, is yet another. And I think for me that is where we have to reflect. Have we in the past 3 years lived what we declared? Of course, there've been flaws, been challenges here and there. Political fights, moral issues that really we have to continually talk about and reflect on. No. But when we put all these things together, can we today say that we have really been a Christian nation? I don't know if that is up to me to answer, to respond. But it's important for us to raise these questions because they help us to reflect on where we are coming from and how we can make things better. Because everybody can say that I'm a Christian.
True.
Any nation can come up today and say, we are also a Christian nation. In Zambia, you think you're the only Christian nation. We are also a Christian nation. The whole world can actually declare we are a Christian world. Yeah. But is there anything to show for it? So making a declaration is it's just like those rich uncles that used to say, don't worry.
Then give me your CV.
It's about of marriage. You were.
Father Saishan.
Hey, why didn't you tell me?
When it's nothing, you just give me a call.
Exactly. I can. We had such uncles. I'm also an uncle, but I never said
You've defended yourself.
Yeah. So saying things like that is very easy. See? Among the 10 uncles that said things like that, maybe only one fulfilled.
True.
The others, the moment that they left your house, that was the last time you saw them until after 10 years.
And usually those that don't promise are the ones that even fulfill.
Yeah, exactly. And God is not interested in the promises that we are making. He's not interested. We can write on the billboards, we're a Christian nation. We can, but
are we living
what we are writing? What is there for us to show that yes, indeed, Zambia is a Christian nation? It's okay. We are not saying anything bad about declaring. Fine, we can declare we are a Christian nation. We've been a Christian nation. Presidents have come and gone. They've told us, we are going to govern Zambia on Christian values, fine. We even had the ministry of
religious.
what was that?
Religious
affairs. Yes, fine. It's okay. Those are things that probably help us to be reminded about what we're supposed to be as a Christian nation. It's okay. But when we look at concrete life, what is there for us to point at and say, yes, we have tried, yes, we have lived a Christian nation, a Christian declaration.
Father, do you think maybe it's because we've not given it significance? That's why at times I feel we're not really living in the Christianity way. Our morals are actually different from the way we're supposed to live. Maybe if we're reminded each and every day to say, we are a Christian nation, we are a Christian nation, do you think things will change?
Maybe things can change. The more we talk about it, the more it sinks to say, we are a Christian nation. We are supposed to be living a Christian life. But you see, you can be saying we're a Christian nation even for 100 years. Yeah, even for centuries. There has to be a commitment. We have to show commitment to say, this is what we are saying. But what commitment are we making towards what we are saying? Yeah, otherwise it will just end on saying. Presidents will come and go, they will just be saying, we're a Christian nation, we're a Christian nation. Those are the same ones now that will go and
I think in line with what Mr. Mafuta had earlier said, saying it's because we have different regimes that come in power, so each and every regime has got their own thinking, you know, where they don't really agree with what the other regime was saying, so it will be just like plain, no, we're a Christian nation. But do they really value it? Do they follow those values? That's where the problem also gets in.
About the values of Christianity, the values of Christianity are the same. In Zambia, in England, in America, wherever, South Africa, Nigeria, the values of Christianity are the same, and their application should be the same. When you talk about the value of love, for instance, love is love everywhere, and this application is the same everywhere. It should be the same everywhere. So if I'm going to come and be president today, I find there is this declaration, first of all, I have to be reminded about the values of that declaration. What does it mean to be a Christian nation? And then I get committed to the application of those values. I will not come and say, okay, this declaration, okay, fine, but I have my own way of applying it. No, I cannot have my own way of applying it, because the values of Christianity are the same. They don't change. It's like you want to come and say, this is the Bible that you're using. I'll bring my own. This one, no. In fact, I've written my own Bible. You can't. So these values remain the same. So if I come in as president, I have to align myself, my thinking, my actions towards these values, not to align what I find there according to what I think, according to what I feel. That's where the problem might come in. But I have to align myself. This is what we have, and so for me to be relevant to this, I have to align my thoughts and my actions according to these values. And if all presidents will come and have that disposition, you're going to see actually a lot of change in the way the country is governed, and as far as the declaration is concerned. So yes, Zambia is a Christian nation constitutionally. Zambia upholds Christian values. Zambia is tolerant also towards other religions. We're not saying that we are Christian, therefore everybody else is not important. No, we do know that we have people who are not Christian. They are not bad people at all. They are good people. So we do give them space as well. I think the Constitution also gives them space. They are we have a tolerant constitution, so to say, but we are still a Christian nation. In other words, we run on Christian values of love, peace, freedom, values of justice, fairness, and so on, equality or inequality, and so on and so forth. Now, these are values that we're supposed to align ourselves to, not the other way. So coming back to the scripture we read, God is saying, I value love, not your sacrifices. I want your knowledge of me or your knowledge of God, not your offerings. So even at a personal level, at a Christian personal level, do you have anything in your life that shows that indeed you are a Christian, or it just ends at declaring, "I'm Christian, Christian," and everybody has to know that I'm a Christian? You have to climb the mountain for you to shout, "Hey, I'm a Christian." But then the way you live life is contrary. So it's important for us to reflect on this as a nation, but also as individuals. How are we living our personal Christian lives? Is this just by word of mouth? Is this just by bringing a tool of church? Or in the manner we talk to other people, in the manner we behave towards other people, there's something that shows that indeed this one is trying to be a Christian. God is not asking us to be perfect, because no one can ever be perfect. But we can try. We can try to be good people. We can try to be a good nation. I can try to be a good priest. Somebody out there can try to be a good leader. That's what it means to align ourselves according to what, or to align ourselves to what we proclaim. If I proclaim I'm a Christian, there has to be some commitment towards that. Even though I'll not live out all the Christian values 100%, but there has to be some commitment. As a nation, what commitment are we making towards that declaration?
Father, I love the scripture that you've shared. Indeed, we live a life of show off as Christians. We want the whole world to see us that we've given. Many a times would rather give chechi and leave kunyumba nothing. Like, okay, the world should see that you show off. That's the kind of Christianity that and we want social media to also see, to take my pictures when giving. Yes, I'm the one that gives. This is the kind of Christianity that we are living.
Yeah, true. And you've actually reminded me of something that I read on social media. One of these Nigerian celebrities was like, I don't do charity works for a reason. Most of the times these other celebrities would go to orphanages taking gifts and all that because they'll actually have cameras behind, whilst their next door neighbor doesn't have what they're actually taking that side.
True.
So God is not interested in our sacrifices if we cannot love. Yeah, God is not interested in our declaration if we can't show commitment towards the declaration. It's not worth it. Yeah.
Father,
sorry, it's not.
I think Mr. Mafuta has actually heard what you said, because he kept asking, are we really a Christian nation?
No, Father, thank you so much for feeding us with the word for this. So,
See you next week.
Definitely.
Sure thing. For now, we got on a break. We'll be right back.
munandilemekeza mukundile mulupulundizanga koma hayi wakakundifera pakuda ndirekerenji kukuta madani mulungu wangu opereka mtulo potiza nsezi nzakwa inu kutula welesa pano pachalo ande kutula we mwine vyose we mwina makae ala mwansabamba ande kutula welesa pano pachalo ande kutula we mwine vyose we mwina makae ala mwansabamba wishiwia Jose vile kwa toku mebele patu muli mfumo Imiondone seze fyonse tulelisha Nengomba shonse na jena tulelisha Mwalilingo kupila malumbo no bukatya Panto muli mfumo Ande kutula wele sae pano pachalo Yeah Ande kutula we mwine vyose we mwina makae alama sabama Ande kutula wele sae pano pachalo Yeah Ande kutula we mwine vyose we mwina makae alama sabama
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are watching Lumen Morning Diary. Right about now, we've just been joined by Dr. Jonathan Soko, who is going to help us look at hepatitis today. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you.
Good to have you back on Lumen Morning Diary.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes. Yes, Doc, to begin with, we want to know, or when we hear the word hepatitis, what is that?
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. Hepatitis is simply, it's a combination of two words, really. Hepatocytes, which is the liver cells, and also itis, which is a suffix that just means inflammation or a disease that is characterized by inflammation. So when we talk about hepatitis, we're talking about inflammation of the liver cells, or simply just inflammation or infection of the liver.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, okay, Doc. Quite a rich intro, just the terminologies involved. Now, Doc, having given us a brief definition of what it is, what are the modes of transmission of this disease? How does one get to be infected with this disease?
Okay. So I should also just give maybe a brief background of what we're really talking about. Hepatitis comes in different forms. There's type A, B, C, and D, and E. In fact, there are like 5 types. But our focus today will be on hepatitis B. So all of these have got different modes of transmission. For example, hepatitis A and hepatitis E, these ones are transmitted via the fecal-oral route, which is eating and drinking contaminated things or foods. But when we talk about B, C, and D, we are talking about infections that come through body fluid contacts or blood, and I'll explain more on that. So the transmission can either be perinatally or when someone is already outside the womb. When we talk about perinatal transmission, it's just within that period of birth. So it's similar to HIV. The transmissions can be fluids, like I said, and also blood. So any mixtures between an infected person's blood and this other person can cause that infection. So commonly we see those people who use drugs, especially IV drugs, injectables, like they exchange needles, they don't change needles. So one person pricks himself or herself and gives to the other person. Then we see it in people who are involving themselves in sexual activities that are unprotected. We see people who are infected. For instance, a mother who is pregnant but infected and maybe doesn't know. So during that period of birth, they get to transfer that virus to the baby, to the newborn baby.
Yes, still on transmission, Doc. There are times when, due to lack of knowledge, sometimes you hear people talking of it to say Nivam family. We have heard you hear someone is saying, no, this one has it. Even the other one said, no, it has been in this family. Now, that myth of saying it is also hereditary, would you debunk on that myth?
And I'm glad you've brought in the aspect of a myth. So I should say it's a myth. It's like HIV, like I mentioned. It's a virus. It can be transmitted from one person to the next. I think when we get to issues of cancer, which is like a complication of a chronic infection of that hepatitis B, maybe then we can tolerate or we can entertain the idea of family history, like, because it's a cancer. But really, when we talk about just the viral infection itself, it's really just about the modes of transmission I talked about. So if you are sleeping around, you are not, even at work, some of us health workers are at risk of getting infected, because we deal with people, with patients. Let's say I prick myself with a needle that has pricked someone who's infected. That puts me at risk of getting that. So it's really a myth. It's not like when a dad has hepatitis and the children should have. No. Once you catch it at an early stage, you can still prevent that transmission from a mother or father to the children.
Okay. Doc, just on that one, what are the signs or maybe symptoms of hepatitis? How can one know?
Okay. So this disease comes, especially our focus is hepatitis B. It can be acute or chronic. So in the acute phase, you're talking about a period between 0 days, if there's such a thing, to about 6 months. And then chronic is anything above 6 months. So in these few months that you have, like the first 6 months, you will see mainly the common symptoms and signs that we see about any other infection, which is some of the examples I can give is fever. Fever, of course, comes with generalized body weakness. You just feel uncomfortable in your own body, you know. Later on, you can develop yellowish discoloration of the membranes, which is medically called jaundice, and that is really because there's a component of the blood cells called bilirubin, which is excreted via the liver. So if you have this inflammation in the liver cells, it means that component of that excrete will not be taken out of the system. So what does it do? It goes back into circulation, and now we see this yellowish. And I think in our setting, in our compounds or our homes, we say yellow fever and all that. Those are one of the things we can look at to suspect that this might be an acute form of hepatitis. Someone is having yellowish discoloration of eyes and body fluids. You'll find people start, those who are infected can actually have dark urine, very dark stools, and that because the body is just trying to excrete whatsoever cannot be excreted by the liver due to that infection that has affected the function of the liver.
Yeah, now, Doc, you have given us about this disease. It's one of those diseases. I remember there are times people joke to say there are diseases that go with certain localities, you know, just the names of diseases.
Yes, we've heard of such things.
Just the name of the disease. So now, back to business. How much information does the public have in line with this disease? And you being in the medical field, what's the prevalence rate like for this disease?
Okay, so I'll start at the global scale. At the global scale, we see that actually a third of the world's population, imagine a third of the entire world's population is affected or infected with hepatitis B, a virus. A third of the world's population. And we see about 250 to about 350 million cases that progress to chronic infection. And just about 1.5 million, if my memory serves me right, of new infections every year. And most of the affected countries are the third world, or let me say the developing countries. Of course, it's because our friends in the first world countries have got their health systems that have been developed, and they can catch these things at an early stage and implement the right course of treatment. But for our case, it's really difficult to do that. So you can imagine, it's a global health burden, and in our setting we do see it every day. We see cases every day of people that are infected with hepatitis. Others knowingly, or may I say those who know, others who never even knew that they had such a condition before.
Actually, it really gave me a concern, Alice, if you looked at the statistics has given. Because if you talk of a third, it's quite a reasonable percentage. Would we say, Doc, that many people are in the dark, they don't know that they have it?
I'll take that. Because let me just give maybe a natural progression of this disease. We have what we call the active phase, then you have the reactive or clearance phase, and then you have later on the inactive phase of that disease. So someone can be infected in the first 2 to 4 weeks, and there'll be nothing that will be detected. You cannot see any symptoms. They don't have fevers, they don't have these flu-like symptoms, they are not lethargic or being weak, they're just normal, nothing of any concern. And then for kids, especially those who get it perinatally, like during around birth, you'll find that you cannot even detect it for decades. You cannot detect because there'll be no reaction to that for decades. So it's really difficult to tell unless you get to be screened. But again, another thing that has helped our setting is these vaccines that we have. Vaccines are everywhere at under 5 clinics. We give these vaccines to children. So really you find that even kids that got it during that period of birth, because of the vaccines that are given, that gets to be suppressed and you can't really pick it. So a lot of people are really in the dark who focused mainly on HIV and all these things, but there are other conditions that we are neglecting, and they're very, very important and dangerous at the same time. I would say hepatitis is more dangerous than HIV. Yeah. Yeah.
Something that we need to be sensitized to.
Exactly.
A question that I really need to understand, Doc. Can a person with hepatitis donate blood, or can a woman get pregnant if they have hepatitis?
Okay. So getting pregnant is not an issue. You will get pregnant definitely. So you shouldn't worry. It's not like it's affecting your ovaries or your reproductive system. No, getting pregnant you will. When it comes to donation of blood, now there's a question. Because like I said, this disease is transmitted via body fluids and blood. So you cannot get contaminated blood to give to someone who does not have hepatitis. It's like you transferring a disease from one person to another. You're actually helping transmit that disease. So for blood donation, it becomes a question. You can't do that. But for pregnancy, I mean, get pregnant to take care of the kid.
Now talking about something that you in the medical field normally emphasize on, I'm sure you really take keen interest in as far as preventive measures are concerned, vis-a-vis treatment. So this disease, how best can one prevent it?
Okay. So with prevention can be tackled by looking at the modes of transmission. So like I said, people who engage themselves in sexual activities that are unprotected, number one, what can we do about that? You and me know. Let's do what? We do it. Abstain. And I think now that we are talking about further just from educating us about some things in the Bible, we can talk about Christian values that have really gone down in our society that needs to be pushed up, need to be pushed up. Like people should have those values, Christian values that will prevent and protect them from engaging in sexual activities that are not protected. Then other things, drug abuse, especially the IV drugs, like we said, do not exchange needles. It's the same message over and over again. Do not exchange needles. If you are an addict, I'd advise that you stop. But if you can't stop, don't exchange needles. And then for people who work in the healthcare sector, take care of yourselves. there are vaccines everywhere. Get those vaccines and protect yourself from getting those infections. Then when we talk about the little ones, if we identify that this mother who's pregnant has got hepatitis B, we can actually intervene by, because there are different levels that we look at if either someone needs treatment or not. If at that point that mother needed treatment, we start that treatment based on certain parameters that we look at that is more medical. But when the baby is born and we maybe realize that the mother was reactive at that particular stage, within the first 12 hours of birth, we can give that baby a vaccine and also some immunoglobulin to just protect them and also just suppress the virus within 12 hours. But if we can't do that, within the first 7 days of life, we can still give the immunoglobulin to this newborn, and thus preventing progression of the disease.
No. Maybe so before Alice just sums up, Doc, I just want to find out on the fatality levels of this disease, because we rarely hear of the cause of death, hepatitis. How fatal is this disease? Okay.
Before I answer that question, I would like to take us through the progression of this disease. Let's say you have a chronic condition now. It's no longer acute. Okay. It's now gotten to chronic, and there's this reinfection. There are processes that happen in the liver. So you find first the liver is injured, like any other part of the body is injured. The skin, they need to heal. It's the same thing with the liver. The cells are being broken up because of this infection, and that will cause damage to the liver. And then the body has got its own way of doing what? Of coming back together, healing through the process called fibrosis. So there's formation of some fibrous tissue to mend that damage. But if this process continues of infection, and all that patient is not on treatment, you will now find that there's scarring and also hardening of the liver, which we call cirrhosis. And that cirrhosis now deranges every function of the liver. So whatsoever the liver does, whatsoever you can think of that the liver does, is deranged. Meaning things cannot be excreted out of the body, and if they can't be excreted, they're in the blood. In the blood, they go to the brain. So this is why we even see some extra hepatic or extra liver manifestation of this disease called hepatitis. You can have now mental confusion. You can have skin issues, joint issues because of this problem. Then after that, it can either progress to hepatocellular carcinoma, which is now a cancer that I mentioned earlier, that now you can start thinking of family history and all that stuff. So really, understanding that background gives you a picture of what the many things that can happen because of hepatitis, and many things that can cause death because of hepatitis. Because everything about your body now is not working properly because the disease has advanced, and anything can kill you. Okay. Bleeding issues coming because coagulopathies and all that. Yeah, so it's really a cascade of so many things that can lead to death. But the primary cause might be hepatitis, with so many other acute things that happen that follow.
Okay, Doc, your concluding remarks about hepatitis. Hope I'm pronouncing
hepatitis.
You know these medical terms, they are known by you, doctor. What's your concluding remarks?
No, you need to learn them also.
The pronunciation.
We'll be talking about the first world countries being affected, but this affects us, countries, third world countries. So really, my message to our viewers out there is please take care of yourselves, especially with regards to sexual activities. If you cannot abstain, make sure you use protection. If you can't do that, take your partner to the hospital, get tested, and have a clear mind. You know, I'm an advocate of, we do tests for, let's say, HIV, sickle cell, before you marry someone. But I think as you maybe want to engage in sexual activities with someone, also think of hepatitis B. Then secondly, let's take the little ones for under 5 vaccinations. They should finish their courses. Don't end at 6 months. No, my baby is fine. I can take care. No, finish all that course, because all these things can be picked up and treated early and accordingly. And then, of course, if you have the disease, there are other measures that you can put in place. There are some treatment modalities that are there, like tenofovir, which is one of the drugs that we hear mostly when we talk about HIV. These are drugs that have been devised to help in the reduction of the virus in the body, the same way it does to HIV. So hepatitis cannot be cured as at now. It's the same thing as HIV, but the effects and also the replication can be halved so that you have a better life. Ideally, what we want to do is just prevent the progression of this disease and also prevent it turning into a cancer and causing more and more problems. But otherwise, message still remains: protect yourself, take care of yourself, and have good health-seeking habits.
Okay. Well, Doc, it's always a pleasure having you on Lumen Morning Diary, sharing with us this important information on health.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Well, that was Dr. Jonathan Soko talking about hepatitis. I believe you've learned something about it. For now, we'll go on a break. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back.
Shafumbusha pesonde walishichila shonsefye ewe angoma nabakateka batuteka walibachila bosefye ewe angoma nabafyuma baitukula walibachila bosefye embwe wangoma nabamaro palochalo walibachila bosefye embwe wangoma tembwe wangoma tembwe wangoma Kasulwa kubantu tekolidada kasulwa kubantu tekolidada awe ile kasulwa kubantu tekolidada kasulwa kubantu tekolidada yangu yutatae amumbile mchimbacho chakwe amona vyose vya wamta namolu yanjaya amumbile mchimbacho chakwe amona vyose vya wamta nakalwa kanjaka
Welcome back. We're now in our last segment of the show, which is the sports segment with me and Mr. Mafuta. Mafuta, we are back again.
Yeah, we are back. Of course, we have eliminated Alice to conclude on what we love most, which is sports.
Yeah, and it gives us joy.
Exactly. Sports, you know, it's a big wherever you go, people talk about sports.
And that it actually unites people.
Exactly.
Okay, so a quick one, Mr. Mafuta. There has been a selection in the Chan.
Yeah.
I'm told, I read we have 30 people that have been shortlisted in it.
Yes. Yeah, actually, Chan, this is the continental tournament that is biased in the sense that it does not permit a country to feature foreign-based players. You have a national team or locally based, and Zambia did its qualification, of course, through a non-played game against Mozambique. I think we read even in our newspaper picks about the tension in Mozambique.
Yeah.
So based on that, we couldn't play our qualifier. We had to qualify without kicking a ball because Mozambique had to withdraw based on those hardships they have in the country. Then, of course, I think we have gone with it. We want to go totally in a Chan way. What do I mean? We've also done away with the head coach. Grant will not be the one in charge of the team, but we've seen in other years during the time of Hevrena, other coaches, they would go with the Chan team themselves. But this time, our FA has settled on a local coach, and this is Wedson Nyirenda, and he's the one who's going to be in charge of this team. Of course, we have a 30-man squad, quite a lot of usual suspects, the likes of Kabaso Chongo and Lawrence Molenga, part of the goalkeepers. We have the likes of Matthews. Actually, Matthews Banda, this is a boy that has just risen, is playing at Inkana Football Club. Then we've also...
Mr. Mafuta, it's the Mighty Nkana.
The Mighty Nkana?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure it's really the Mighty Nkana now. And there have been complaints that players from Nkana haven't been picked. But in this list now, Nkana has provided 3 with the speed winger they got from Zanaco. Gift Zuru is also part of the Chan. So when you look at the team that Zambia has put on paper from that 30-man provisional squad, I think we have a very, very good team that can go and do damage at the Chan board. Some of the players, actually the likes of Kawaso Chongo, we have Kapumbu. These are players, Lawrence Molenga. They are also part of our main team. When we pick a team that involves professionals, they still claim their position. So it's really a very, very good team that Zambia is taking to the Chan. Wedson Nyirenda, quite an interesting coach. We'll see what he brings us when we go for this tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, what else do we have?
Yeah, still on the Chan, an interesting selection also that is outside our powers, but within the confines of CAF. They have listed the officials. Okay. I talk about referees that will be in charge. I think of late Zambia has been represented much by Jan Skazwe.
Yes.
And with the retirement of Jan, we saw that there was a seemingly vacuum coming into play where we have no one. But Diana Chikotesha will be the only Zambian referee at the Chan, a female referee for that matter. Remember, she just won her accolade as the best assistant female referee in Africa, and that has earned an automatic call also for the CHAN. So apart from the national team, we are also represented by the referee in Dana Chikotesh.
Wow, that's very beautiful.
Yes. Then maybe from the papers, I think interesting stories away from football. Tiger Woods' son taking the path of the father. It seems like sports has become a game where it is
passed on.
It's more into these families, and I think it's really interesting to have that. And the sporting family, the sporting fraternity also is also mourning the death of Dandy Craze, because if you remember, Dandy Craze composed songs for the national team.
Yeah, true.
So
because I remember even when we won the AFCON 2012, they actually did his celebration, the dance of Don Chikobera.
Exactly. Yeah. So he actually did a lot of positive strides in as far as Zambian football is concerned, and maybe a few people would not know that his own young brother played for Zambia's national team. You aware of that?
No, I'm not. And I'm actually surprised.
Yeah, we had Signs Chibambo.
Okay.
Yeah, Signs Chibambo played a lot of professional football outside Zambia, and at some point was called to don in the Zambian colors. That's a young brother to the later Dan Craze. Yeah, so you can see now maybe where the passion is coming from, because it was also part of their family, where it's not easy. Zambia is too big to have a member from your family to play for the national team. It's not easy.
Yeah. Just a quick review of the fixtures that we have in all the leagues.
Yeah, actually, the Zambian league, of course, it is on recess. We are not having games. For those who would have been wondering which stage are we supposed to be at today. Yeah, but looking at the league that normally brings the world to a standstill, that's the EPL. The major games that we have, of course, people missed some games here because we were still in the New Year mode, but
they were celebrating, they were dancing.
Exactly. So the first game of the day today is at 14:30 hours, where Tottenham Hotspur will take on the informed Newcastle. Remember, Newcastle are just from beating Manchester United, so they're really in that mode. We have a Bournemouth that will take on Everton at 17 hours, and Aston Villa will take on Leicester City. Of course, we've seen our own boy Patson Daka having some game time, no matter how few, but his presence is normally making Zambians feel part of the EPL. Then Crystal Palace will take on Chelsea. These are teams many Africans have come to love. If you look at Aston Villa, if you look at Crystal Palace, at some point the entire team, including the coach, they were all blacks.
True.
Entire team, the starting 11, the coach, all blacks in the pitch. And even today, watch their game, the maximum they feature for the other color, the maximum you have is 3 whites. I don't know what's the secret. It's packed with blacks, and many people are following it. Chelsea has also followed suit.
Yeah, Chelsea has a lot.
Chelsea never plays with a minimum of 5 blacks these days. So interesting. These are two teams packed with our fellow black-skinned guys that take on each other at 17 hours. Manchester City, let's hope it's a beginning of better days. Remember, they won their last game
of 2020,
and they lock horns with West Ham. Southampton will be with Brentford, 17 hours. Brighton will take on Arsenal at 19:30 as the last game of the day. Then tomorrow, it's the battle of the Reds, of course, as the
At
biggest
Maplanga.
game.
Maplanga na Macha.
So we have Fulham and Ipswich. Then Liverpool will take on Manchester United at 18:13, and of course the resurgence team of the moment, Nottingham Forest, standing on second position. They'll play their game on Monday.
They're actually now third since Arsenal won their game on the 1st of
exactly
January.
So these will play on Monday with Hooves. Of course, as we close the general in La Liga, what happened?
Oh, La Liga. Real Madrid actually won their game in hand yesterday. A very dramatic win.
Actually, me, I went to sleep. I thought in the morning I was shocked when people were talking about the Madrid winning.
You actually thought Madrid had lost, right?
Yeah.
No, they actually won dramatically and they stand top of the league.
Wow.
And they're only going to have games the second week of January.
Wow.
Well, our lovely viewers, we come to the end of the show. Thank you very much for watching us. And thank you to Mr. Mafuta. Thanks to the guests that we had. For now, it's bye. We'll see you next week, same time.
It's bye-bye for now.